Wouldn't it be great if you could take a losing betting strategy and miraculously turn it into a winning one? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do on this video. We are going to take a strategy that loses half our initial stake and only has a 25% strike rate into a strategy that earns many multiples of that initial stake and wins 95% of the time. How do we do that? How is it possible? Just watch the rest of this video. I've been successfully betting and trading for over 2 decades. If you want more videos like this and you want me to describe more of what I do, then give us a like. If you want to talk to like-minded people, visit the BetAngel forum where you can do exactly that, but also visit our website where you can download a free trial of BetAngel. So the strategy that we're going to use here is quite simple. We're basically going to go in and lay the favourite on 20 matches. Now, as I record this video, we are at Wimbledon, so we are going to do this type of betting specifically on tennis matches. And I've basically just gone into the market and I've laid the favourite within this particular match. And then we've done this across 20 matches. And where did we end up? Well, we haven't used any skill or judgment in this particular process. And by going in and doing this, one of the first things that you should establish is that the market's pretty efficient. And that's pretty much what we found on this particular occasion. If we actually look at the stats, we can actually see that of those 20 matches that we laid the favourite on, only a small number of them actually went on to win. Just 25% of those matches actually meant that the outsider went on to win that particular match, and 75% of the time the favourite won. And because we were placing a lay bet, essentially we lost money over the course of those 20 matches. However, one of the things that we did slightly differently here, which a lot of people do not do, which will significantly improve your betting, is the way that we actually staked into these markets. So the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people doing is they don't adjust their staking according to the odds that are available. I see a lot of people testing systems, doing all sorts of clever things, trying to be profitable, but they don't actually adjust their stake. They just go in with a fixed stake, or they come up with some sort of weird staking system that means that all of that is completely out of balance right from the off. So what we've done within each of these individual matches is we've gone in, we've basically laid the favourite, but what we've done is we've laid it to a £10 liability. So our worst loss is going to be £10, but the payoff will always be, much, much higher than that. We're in a tennis match and we're laying the odds on favourite, so the potential payoff is always skewed slightly in our favour, even if the odds aren't. But the benefit of that is that you limit your liability, you expose yourself to potential profit, and also you equalise yourself with the betting odds, which we generally know are pretty efficient. So if you do this over a large number of matches, then generally everything should begin to balance out. The winners will come in and win as often as the odds suggest, and they won't win as often as the odds suggest. But ultimately you'll find yourself at break even if the market is efficient. And we know that the market is efficient. So going in and using this particular staking method of laying by liability allows you to perfectly frame the trading opportunity, but it still won't get you to a profitable position. So how would we achieve that? So very often trying to understand exactly what you need to do in a market is defined by what the underlying loss rate is. This has been my approach to many markets over many years and solving many particular problems. But what you can see that I've just done here is I've basically gone into 20 matches. I've effectively bet them at random. I haven't gone through any selection process in terms of the types of matches that I want to bet on here. But one thing that I have done is I've limited my liability so that we end up with a net position at the end of that particular period that's reflective of the odds within this particular market. So effectively what this is telling you is what you need to do to overcome and to be able to get profitable, because after 20 matches here, we basically put a £10 liability into each of these particular markets. We've effectively risked £200 using our £10 stake. And you can see that we've actually lost a relatively small amount of money, just £5 overall in the scheme of things. However, if you only had a bank of £10, you could repeat this, but you've just lost 50% of your bank. But we have actually staked £200 in this market and actually only lost £5. So your objective to get profitable is to basically overcome that negative £5 at the end of these 20 events. How are we going to do that? Well, it's perfectly possible, as I'm about to show you right now. So if we just left our original bet in the market, we suffer from the same problem that everybody has suffered from for generations. You win, you lose, you just can't choose. And that was the problem with traditional betting. You place a bet and then it's down to what happens in that event as to whether you win or lose money. But of course nowadays we can actually take advantage of the fact that you can bet in play. You can cash out at any point, whether it's for a profit or a loss, and if you're using BetAngel, you've got all sorts of tools to enable you to do that and to pick the exact point at which you'd like to trade out. And that produces all sorts of opportunities because we've already fixed our loss, but the potential for upside is still there. So now we come to the crux of the system. Basically, if we were betting, we know that over the course of 20 matches we would have lost a little bit of money, and we've got to somehow turn that into a profit. And when you look at a tennis match, it's highly variable. So if we go into a match with a £10 liability, you will find that over the course of the match you will get an opportunity to cash out many times, an opportunity to take a profit, to be able to rebalance that P&L. How often does that occur? Well, if we look at a match that was at Wimbledon this week, this is a thing that I do that is called a profit graph. It plots all of the individual points within a match. It plots, on this case, a liability to £10, and then it sees what's happened as the match progresses. And you can see that sometimes they're in profit, sometimes they're at a loss. But the key point here is that you have multiple opportunities to be able to take a profit on this particular match. There are many times at which you will find your position in profit just by default. No skill required. You will be in a profit at some point during this particular match. And I hear you say, well, you've picked and chosen a particular match here. Well, how many matches out of those 20 do you think that would have been in a profitable position at some point during the match? Drum roll, please. 19 out of 20 matches, 95%, would have given you the chance to trade out at a profit at some particular point within the match. You need to decide when that point will be, because what I'm saying here is that it moved into profit at some point. But maybe you want to trade out on a breakup, a setup, or at some particular point within the match, and that will give you the ability to be able to actively trade and generate a profit. And if you actually look at the potential profit that was in these 20 markets, if you'd actually caught the market at the maximum point of potential profit within all of those 20 matches, you could have earned £300. So for a £10 liability, your potential return was £300. Now, of course, I'm saying if you were perfect, and you're either a liar or perfect, and nobody's perfect. So that £300 is an unrealistic target, but that's the potential that you have there. What your objective is, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is not to actually capture that £300. Remember, you're trying to cover a £5 loss. That was how much we lost just by doing things with no skill at all. So in fact, all you want is a small part of that £300. And even if you just did one match that had a decent result where an outsider won or had the potential to win, that would have more than covered all of the liabilities on those 20 matches that you had a traditional bet in. And there are strange things that can happen within a match. Jannik Sinner went 2 sets to love up against Novak Djokovic. Djokovic ended up winning. So Djokovic winning accurately describes the efficiency of the market, but it doesn't describe the opportunity. And we also had this situation where Rafa Nadal was up against Taylor Fritz, and Rafa was obviously injured, and therefore his price went shooting out, despite the fact that not much had happened in the underlying match. You could have cashed out for a profit on that match as well. But fundamentally speaking, what we've done here is we've taken a traditional betting strategy, we've limited our liability there, and we've given ourselves the potential to profit. And because we know that over the course of those 20 matches, the potential liability that we have from a betting perspective is quite small, that neatly defines what our overall objective is from a profit perspective. And of course, in the way that I've described to you all the opportunities that you have within tennis there, it's almost certain that you'll be able to get profitable. So let us summarize what you should have learnt within this video. If we go into a market and we bet at random, we're going to get some pretty random results. And they will be even more random if we don't use the right staking method. If we use a fixed stake, that's not aligned to the odds within the market. We know the odds within the market are generally efficient. So therefore, we've used liability staking in order to align ourselves with market efficiency, with those odds that we know generally reflect the true chance of something happening over time. You could do this on the back or the lay side, but on this occasion we decided to lay to a £10 liability just to see what happened. And what happened over 20 matches was that we lost a small amount of money, £5 to be exact. And therefore that defined what we needed to do to be profitable over these 20 matches. And the way that we did that is we actually looked for an opportunity during the in-play period where we could actually cash out for a decent amount of money. We know that the odds will be efficient at the start of the match, we know that they will reflect the winner at the end of the match, but what you don't see within those odds at the start or the finish are all of the opportunities that get created during the match, and there are tons and tons of those. And therefore, when we looked at that, we realised that in fact if we cashed out, if we traded out at the best point within each of these matches, that gave us a potential profit of £300 if we were perfect. But we know that that's impossible. But nonetheless, all we needed to do was capture a small slither of that potential profit to overcome the loss that we made with the outright bet. And fundamentally speaking, that is how you would turn a profit. That's how you turn a strategy that looks from a betting perspective to be unprofitable into a strategy that is profitable, but fundamentally you'll have to trade out at some particular point. You'll have to partake in some trading. You'll have to get in at one point and get out at another. But contrary to popular belief, you don't need to be some sort of amazing expert to be able to do that from a trading perspective. All that you're trying to do is get that balance right. You're trying to say, this is my maximum liability, this is the potential profit within the market. All I need to do is find one or two instances of that, and that will more than cover any of the losses that I make in other markets. So yeah, hopefully that's given you an indication as to the sort of thing that I do and the way that I approach it. But fundamentally speaking, if you adopt the same approach, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it as well.